cost of war, that one of the things in a moral budget has to include is the cost of war. We have a lot of environmental pollution from our military bases overseas. We have to pay for that cleanup. We have Agent Orange damage in Vietnam. We have landmines that we've placed. That also has to be part of the cost that we have to bear for dealing with the damage that we've done. And just in our Iraq alone, the depleted uranium, we bombed the hell out of Iraq. We have depleted uranium shells. There's the environmental damage from you explode buildings that have all sorts of materials in it. So that the savings that you're computing have to also take into consideration our moral obligation to clean up those countries that we've damaged.
I agree.
Phil.
Thanks. So there's a long history in this country of nonviolent civil disobedience, going back to abolitionists and then Cesar Chavez and civil rights and throughout history. And so we have some clear targets here. And how do you galvanize the large body of American people to practice nonviolent civil disobedience, risking arrest, to actually draw the attention, because these changes are not going to come easily.
Peace Action is going to figure that out.
And we're doing that.
No, of course. I mean, this is our problem.
That's what we.
You know, we can be rational as much as we want. The issue is, how do you make those changes? How do you force those changes? We have a lot of great ideas. The only way is to get together lots of people that are willing to do civil disobedience, that are willing to do, like Denise Provost here has a bill. Well, we have actually two bills in the legislature coming up. One would divest the Massachusetts pension plan from companies in Massachusetts involved in nuclear weapons production. The other would divest the pension plan from Raytheon and a few of the other companies that are bear so much responsibility for this war in Yemen, right? So these are little things out there. We have to organize people around the pieces of this where we think people are with us, and people are with us. We have not found a way to pull all that together. And then we have to convince people through good education, through good messaging, and through the way we live, that this way of living based on a militarist state is just not in anyone's interest. So we've got a long way to go on that, but right now there are plenty of things we can organize around, and we should organize around those things. Do we have enough people? No. We've got to get more.
I'd add a couple of things to that. One is that there are efforts to really organize civil disobedience. The Poor People's Campaign is the perfect example. It has chapters in 40, I'm not sure how many states right now, but
40 states including
40,
Hawaii.
okay. All right, so, I mean, and last summer there was civil disobedience and arrests in every single one of them, and the Poor People's Campaign is not done yet. But I'd also say that civil disobedience isn't the only tool that we have. It's also fair to ask our leaders to lead, which is what the People Over Pentagon campaign is doing, and which is we're also working with the Congressional Progressive Caucus Center, which is it's brand new, but it's sort of a brain trust for the members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus in Congress. And they're pulling together a lot of progressive foreign policy experts and progressive budget experts so that their members can get up to speed on these things, which a lot of them are not. I mean, you might think that they know all the things that we talked about here today, but a lot of them don't. They haven't been paying that much attention. They're busy with other things. It's not their issue. There's a lot of sort of getting up to speed that a lot of them can do. And once they do that, then they start to support more legislation, they start to introduce more good amendments, and there are sort of things that can happen from the top down that can be good as well.
Just to say a word I can't resist. It's politics, right? So let's take the climate strike. 4 million people worldwide. What, the biggest demonstration ever in human history, or pretty close to it? And now we have Extinction Rebellion off in the seaport today. It's great. It's bigger than it was before. It's not enough. So it's actually like presidential elections, that's the closest thing Americans have to politics, to political struggle. It has the virtue that it brings all the issues together in one place. But it's not enough. You have to press on politics from the streets. And so I don't think any one of these issues can go out on their own. It has to be all of the issues together in one overall front, and we just have to go for it. But, so that's my piece. Let's see who else is up. Let me take a whole bunch of hands. Savina, sorry, I don't know your name. Robin, okay, Savina first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Look at this graph, for example. Every issue here is together on this pie. And I just love, love, love how Reverend Barber, Liz Theo Harris, and the rest of the country that has come together around fusion movement. It is going to take all of us coming under that one umbrella to attack these issues. When we launched our national direct action campaign, Sally, you were there. Sally's on board with the Poor People's Campaign. Phil is there. And many other folks that are laying their bodies on the line to call attention to this issue. We know that moving forward, right, we have to find ways to come together, despite our own differences, or bring in our own implicit biases. And that's what we're working on today with the Poor People's Campaign. We've got to be front and center in this, right? Everybody has a right to live, and we've got to come together.
Okay, back row.
I think that's absolutely true. But also I think about, like, this is a little bit off topic, but developers meet to talk about, like, how the developers meet to talk about what the language they're going to use or they're looking for, not just the bottom line, but so many things that are in their best interest. And that happens in Boston, that happens all over the country. And it's like, what, like, and to get into one of those conferences, it's like $900, it's like the cost of rent to get into them. So there's great entry. But if I think there's maybe value too, to pooling some money and getting somebody in there to see what the conversation actually is, to use their language to benefit our priorities. And I think, and you know, these deals happen at networking events, at parties. You know, how do you meet a contractor? It's not just knock on the, you know, an office door and then come in. There's so much courting, you know, and it's like how we also have that power just because we don't feel like we're good enough or something, or we don't have the, you know, we're not cool, I'm not cool enough, or I don't have the language, I'm not articulate enough, I'm a little bit too outspoken. All these excuses I think we give ourselves when it's like we can pool our money and pay $800 and go somebody who is the best note taker in the room right now to go in to mingle with these folks, learn what they're doing, and report back to the public. I think that's also attractive on top of like direct action and civil disobedience, and like coming at both sides. So that's about it.
Okay, Robin.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to switch any of the conservatives, because most of them, they think that they're right and they're genetically superior and their policies are right. But if you want to try it, there's a book called Talking to Crazy. It just takes a long time, but you're not going to get them. And you already have the Democrats, okay, but what you got to go after is the Democrats. and don't just the Democrats, you know, they're trying to do their stuff. But you got people in the middle, they're concerned, they can see something's going wrong, but they don't understand, right? So Democrats have hundreds of pages of policies. Oh, this is wonderful stuff, but they're not going to read it, and they need to make stuff like this quick reference on ecology. It's got lots of diagrams and tables and headings and outlines of material. You know, publish those. And also you're not going to change Trump because he's an extreme narcissist, and there's a book called Why We Elect Narcissists and Sociopaths and How We Can Stop that explains this. Hitler, Stalin, Trump, and Boris Johnson are all explained in the book, so you're not going to get them. You have to, book is called Why We Elect Narcissists and Sociopaths, and how we can stop.
Okay, Elena.
Thank you. I have a real personal dilemma, and I'm hoping someone can help me, at least get on the path of solving it. So I've recently become a US citizen, and so, as I'm learning my rights and my responsibilities about electing our representatives and presidents and, you know, all of this, I'm finding it really hard to make decisions. Andrea Burns, is she still here, sent an email, I think last week, with an article that sort of picked on every one of the Democratic candidates for presidency and went into analysis on their decisions regarding foreign policy and what they have done over the last 30, 40 years. Every single one of them chose to be on the wrong side of history at one point in time. And they're supposedly better than the Republicans. How do you choose? I mean, how do I choose?
Brian's got a proposal and so does the guy back.
I'll just say, if only there were a lifelong independent running for president.
Are you
right
suggesting
now.
a third party?
No, I'm suggesting that there's a lifelong independent, longest serving independent in Congress in the history of the nation who's running for president right now.
Who has voted against every law.
All right, in the back row.
He's not as clean as, yeah.
Is the rest of us.
Okay,
Well,
one at a time.
He
one
made
at-
some really bad
Yolanda,
choices.
one at a time. Okay.
I think we have movements, and I think movements are also great, but there also is a lack of courageous leadership. Most of us in this room are leaders of some organization or another. We should run for office. We're leading organizations, we're leading movements. We talk about pressuring the leaders. Forget about pressuring leaders. Stand up and lead. Run for office. That seems to me to be the shortest distance between what we're talking about and then doing it. Now, of course, there's a lot, it's an immense courage is required, a lot of sacrifice. But movements, along with many other things, certainly will help. But without the decision makers, the trends have been going in the wrong direction for decades. The movements are not a new phenomenon that happened in the past 2 years. We've been having movements since the 60s, but the trend is still going in the wrong direction. We need a complete overhaul of leadership in terms of individuals to stand up and lead. But like myself, it's nice to listen to things like this and try to pressure my leader, my congressman, my senator to do something with very little to show for it.
Denise Provost and Pat Jalen did exactly what you said. Plenty of people from the movements do those things. Other people have other ideas like the one you brought up there. What we have to do is get together with people who kind of share our ideas of what strategy to use and see what it leads to. We just don't know what it is that will bring about the type of change we want. Just look at some things that people have done. No one ever gave it a chance of ever working. And yet, at the right time, it hits, and boy, you have something really, really big. Think of Cindy Sheehan parking her table outside of George Bush's ranch in 2006, when everyone still supported the Iraq War. We thought, what is she doing? What could be sillier than that? And yet, it ignited a movement that got rid of George Bush in the 2008 election. We have to try out the things that seem to us, that we have energy for, that seem to us to work. At the same time, realizing that people who disagree with us are not our enemy. That at another moment, we're all in the same place. And for all the differences we have about what to do, or even some of our politics, we have to stick together and find out ways of working together to reinforce each other instead of undercutting each other. That's the trick. We can do it. We just have to keep on figuring that out. we have enough brain power in this country, all these people of diverse backgrounds and everything else. We can do it. We just haven't found the way to do it yet, but we have to keep trying.
All right, on that note, I'm gonna move to toward closure. Yelena, why don't you come up here for a minute? First, let me say, we were gonna have a closing session with Yelena and Lindsay. We're gonna lay out kind of the methodology for producing a moral budget and finding out who of you wanted to actually work on it, who didn't want to work on it, but you'd read it, who wouldn't read it, but you'd pass it on. We're gonna save you that. That will be done by email. Right? It's late in the day, and it's too late to take on something else. Now, in this discussion of how we're gonna change the world, right? We know there's actions, and some people are very focused on actions. Paul is, he's the leader of, let's get out there at Park Street Station and demonstrate. And then there are other people who believe it's ideas. So we know it's both, right? It's the world of action, the world of ideas. This forum is an effort to mobilize in the realm of ideas, right? Just like in the abolition movement, they had all kinds of things in the 1830s, petitions and forums and sit-ins then. But the idea of abolition, of getting rid of slavery, that was powerful. So one of the things about a moral budget is it requires all these different people have to work together. You have to get a whole lot of different people in the same room listening to each other, which we did today.
Yes.
Right? This is not a meeting of thousands, right? However, it's significant because we got together people who don't normally get together. And so this is one poll that's important to put forward the idea of a different kind of budget that unites, fuses together all these needs. Remember what Mike Conley described, the 200 groups who came to him each around a particular need, and he's thinking, wow, if all these people work together, right, to increase the budget, we can get all of it. So our moral budget is a way of putting forth an idea that allows people to work together. It's not the front line of the struggle, it's not putting your body down in the street, but that's important. With that, I want to thank you all for being here, all the panelists and participants, Yelena, people who work in the background, like Yelena, Cole, Brian, Lindsay, and we will be in touch with you and try to carry forward this little agenda. And at some point, it'll break into the light, maybe in February when the Reverend is here.
Is the video gonna be available, for people to see? It looked like this was being videotaped.
Cole.
Is that somebody
Yes,
put up
yes.
somewhere?
Yeah, if the sound is good enough to be worth it, we'll put it on YouTube. It'll probably be on the Mass Peace Action YouTube channel unless there's another better place, but that's.
Okay, at that, I declare us a success and adjourned.